Cheers.
Hope everybody has their coffee handy or tea or whatever you decide to drink at this hour of the day, depending on where you're at. We're super excited to have y'all here with us, joining us for this Coffee Connection Live. I'm back from maternity leave, so I feel like we're back with our friends together, hanging out. And Liz, I'm actually going to just hand it over to you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Connections Live. August? How's it August? I almost said July. Yeah,
let's pretend it's
July. Have you back from maternity leave. Yay!
I know, it's crazy.
Oh my gosh, it went by so fast, but I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that we get to take a breather and to talk about USO MilSpouse programs.
Yep.
It's wonderful to be here. Everybody, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. If you can do us a favor and write in the chat box where you are watching from. We'd love to see where our viewers are coming in from, and we'll be able to see it and we'll call you out, and maybe you're near us. I am sitting in Tampa, Florida, and Nicole is in her home, and yep. We are just remote. We're doing what military spouses do. Army wife here, Air Force wife talking with me today. And we are so happy that you all are here joining us. Coffee Connections Live is just a chance for friends to get together and to chat over a cup of coffee. Sometimes we have guests from outside the USO. Sometimes we talk to people within the USO about the latest of what's happening. Either way, we hope to give you an hour of connection so you feel like you are meeting new people and connecting with other military spouses around the world, because we're all in this together. And that's what it's all about, is connecting with one another. So without further ado, as you all are typing in the chat box where you are watching us from, meet Nicole Vogel. Nicole, tell us about yourself. Tell us about life as a military spouse, and give us one fun fact about you.
Okay, I can do that. And I'm calling in from, gosh, how do you say this? I should say the peninsula area of Virginia, if I'm saying that right. I always mess that up, like Hampton Roads area. Excited to be on here. I've been with the USO for over 10 years, and I've been a military spouse for over 10 years. As Liz said, I'm Air Force spouse. We've been to 3 different locations. We were lucky to be stationed at our first location, and we'll go into that later, for about 5 years, and then 4 years in DC, and then we'll be here for about 2. So with the USO, I am a senior programs manager for military spouse programs, and I get to work with you, Liz, every day. So we have a lot of fun brainstorming sessions, and I think that this Coffee Connection Live is great because you all can interact with us and let us know how we can help you out there. And make sure too, I know Liz said type where you're from in the chat box, but make sure you're interacting with each other in the chat box as well. We won't be checking it too much, but make connections throughout this entire call. As Liz said, this is for you as much as it is for us. Liz, how long have you been with the USO? I know you've been with us for a while, but I know there's a lot more to the story.
There is more to the story. I took my first job with the USO in 2005. I was living in DC, and I decided I wanted to try something new, and I took a job with the USO in Okinawa, Japan, having never met a military person in my life. We were not a military family growing up. I'm from Wisconsin. We just weren't around the military ever, but I wanted this job. I wanted to move to Okinawa, Japan for something different, and I did. So I did a couple of years in the Pacific region. I was in DC after that for a couple of years at USO headquarters. Got married to my Army husband, who I had met in Okinawa, and as life would take its turns, we moved back to Okinawa after that for another 2 years. So we spent our first 2 years married in Okinawa. He traveled a lot. I did my USO work. It was wonderful. And then I had to leave the USO because, as military spouses know, when you move to a place where there's no work for you, you have to quit and start all over again. So we moved to Tampa in 2011 for the first time here. And I left the USO for a while, but was fortunate enough to be able to come back in a contracting role after a while. I did some work for the USO on the West Coast. I actually got to go back to Japan for a little bit. And we have since lived in Virginia, Maryland, Stuttgart, Germany, and Alabama, and now we're here again. So I've been in lots of different capacities with the USO since 2005, on and off. As military spouses know, we have to wear many hats whenever we can. And I love what I do with the USO. I've done operations for almost that entire time. And I think military spouse programming is one of the favorite things that I've ever done. Fun fact about me, I wanted to be a sideline reporter for the NFL when I was growing up. I'm a
I could
big
see
football
that.
fan. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I grew up watching Brett Favre play for the Packers. I was a diehard number 4 fan, and I just thought my life will be complete if I can spend my days, or maybe my Sundays, interviewing these players on the sideline and doing, like, I don't know, play-by-play or something with the NFL on the sideline. That's what I wanted to do. So
Could
here
you do, if you were to watch a football game right now, would you be able to like interact, or like, I don't even know the words because I watch football, but I'm always asking my husband the questions. So are you able to, like, do you know the rules of the football and everything like that? Like, you could do it right now if they said, okay, Liz, we want you to do this.
I don't know if I could do play-by-play. I have an uncle in South Carolina who does play-by-play, and I've sat in the booth with him a few times.
Oh, cool.
I honestly don't know if I could talk that much for 3 straight hours. And
Yeah.
I do know some of the plays. Like, I know what a reverse is. I know what a flea flicker is. But you know where I struggle is with what all the positions are. Like, what's a linebacker, what's a tight end, what's a cornerback versus a quarterback versus a safety. Like, I struggle with that, but it's also been a while since I've studied up on football. But gosh, I love it. I can't wait for football season to start.
Well, never say never. You could always,
I suppose, I mean, the Buccaneers are just down the road. I feel like maybe I should go knock on their door.
Yeah.
Sunday.
That'd be fun. And I forgot to tell you guys a fun fact about me. I definitely wanted to tell you guys. So my fun fact is, and I like to tell people this just because I can't believe it happened, is that I've run 3 marathons since we've been in the military. So my husband told me one day, he came home and he's like, we need to talk. He said, I'm going on a deployment, and this is going to happen. So, it was our first deployment. I was new to the military. We were overseas, and I just didn't know what to expect. So I said, well, I'm going to do something crazy, while you're gone. I'm the girl that couldn't even run a mile without getting out of breath, and it wasn't my thing. So I said, well, I'm going to run a marathon while you're away. I'm going to train for one, and I'm going to run one. And he's like, no, you aren't. And then that made me sign up for one. The very next day, I ran the Berlin Marathon, and then you just kind of get addicted, I feel like, once you start doing that kind of thing. And I ended up running the Rome Marathon, and then I ran the Paris Marathon. So that's my fun fact. But now after having 2 kids, I'm getting back to it. I just ran 2.5 miles yesterday. So we'll get there. 26.2 miles will happen maybe eventually someday, but if not, it's fine. Walking's fine. So
that's a pretty incredible fun fact.
Yeah.
Marathons in Berlin and Rome and Paris. I mean, that's a good sightseeing and an amazing accomplishment.
Well, and I feel like that's something only a military, I mean, there's, other people can do it, but I feel like for military spouses, it's something that we can say, oh yeah, okay, I've been there before, or something like that. So.
What do you think? I mean, that's like something that most, military spouses get to say, like, we've traveled to all these places. Oh, it's no big deal. We lived in Germany. We've been to Rome and Paris several times. Like, what do you feel is the most, that was a loud car going by. What do you feel is the most rewarding aspect of life as a military spouse?
Yeah, I think it's the community and the friendships and that you make, because I feel as though your friends that you make become your family, especially when you're overseas or in a location where you're far away from home. I really like the fact that, your Thanksgivings turn into Friendsgivings and stuff like that. And you rely on everybody coming together as a family overseas. And what I also like about that part of just, the Friendsgiving piece, it was really cool because we're from Ohio, and we brought like a dish that people from like Louisiana never had, and same thing, like we had some sort of like gumbo or something like that. And it was amazing. And I'm like, I've never had this before. So just, trying new things, different experiences, meeting new people. But that's what I would have to say, just the community and the friendships that we've made. What about you?
Totally. I think the opportunities to meet people from around the world, and also the opportunities to live around the world, like we touched on a minute ago.
Right.
I think it's just amazing. I grew up in a tiny little town of like 14,000 people. Most people don't move outside of the state, much less outside of the country. And thanks to the military life, we've been able to live on 3 different continents, and we've traveled. I think before my kids were 3 and 5 years old, they'd been to 10 different countries. And if you asked my little one when she was 2 years old, if you pointed at a picture of the Eiffel Tower, she knew what it was. If you pointed at a tower of Big Ben, she knew what it was. And I thought, this is not normal, but I think it's cool. So I think the ability to travel and to visit other places and to meet those people and take in their stories along the way. But I think that also it's almost like a double-edged sword, because it's heart-wrenching to then have to move away from all those people.
Right.
I think what's one of the greatest things about military life is also one of the most challenging, in that we then are pulled away from these people that we've invested so much in for several years, with our hearts and our lives. And we sort of intertwine into our lives, right? With Friendsgiving and holidays together and trips together. I don't know about you, but we've taken several trips with our military family friends that we've met. Sometimes I have this great story. We booked an Airbnb that was for like 12 people, and it was just the 4 of us, my husband and our 2 kids. So we needed people to help fill it up and to help pay for it. And it was in France. This is while we were living in Germany. And we had met this other couple one time, like, ooh, they have a couple kids, same age as us. Want to see if they want to go on vacation with us? And it's just not even a crazy thing to ask when you're over there. Like, I know we just met and this is crazy. It's like that song, Call Me Maybe, right?
Yes.
You're going to be my kid's emergency contact at school. And also we have an Airbnb in Normandy. Do you want to fill it up with us in a couple months? And we do. So good times.
Right. No, absolutely. I almost wonder, like, well, yeah, here in the States, if you were to do that, people would kind of give you a funny look, like, what? But over there, I think it makes sense for sure. So, and you mentioned Germany. So is that probably your most favorite place you've ever lived during your time in the military? Or do you have like a couple?
I'm partial. So it's going to be a toss-up between Stuttgart, Germany, and Okinawa, Japan. And Okinawa is always going to hold a special place in my heart, because it's where I met my husband. And it's where I really felt a sense of independence for the first time in my life, because I was a 24-year-old kid who took a job and packed everything into 2 suitcases and just moved. And it was fantastic, and I learned how to scuba dive, and I made lifelong friends that I'm still in touch with. Thank God for social media, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I loved Okinawa for the tropical aspect, and the culture over there is so unique, and just being able to experience that tiny little island in the Pacific. But we didn't travel very much because of, well, A, because of work, and B, because we were on a tiny little island and it took so long to get anywhere. So Germany was great because of that culture and those people. And we had amazing neighbors, and we loved our little village, and we loved traveling. So for me, it's a toss-up between.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place you've lived?
Well, granted, we've only been to 3 different locations, and Germany was our first assignment. So we were newlyweds. It was our first assignment. So it was a little chaotic at the very beginning, because I didn't know anybody. I was new to the military. So I would say at the very beginning, I was like, I don't like it here. This is the worst place ever. But then once you created your network, once you established friends, and once I got used to the military lifestyle, then I was like, this is my most favorite. Or is that even proper grammar? This is my favorite place ever. And I just look back and have fond memories. But I'm also making sure that no matter where we go, that we're living in the moment and making sure we're making the best of wherever we are. So DC, we had a fabulous time. Where we're at now, we absolutely love. And I've heard somebody, and I might not be saying this right, but I heard somebody once say, when you are where you're at, you should live like a tourist and just explore as much as you can where you live. And then when you travel, you should live like a local and do what the local people do. And I love that, because here where we're at now, I try to explore something new, every other weekend, go to a new park or a new location, a new restaurant. And I find that has really worked for our family to kind of immerse ourselves into the community.
How has the USO played into your life as a military family?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like one of those things, like it's the only thing I know, because as soon as I became a military spouse and we moved overseas, I didn't know where I was going to work, because my previous career, I was in sales. So I knew in Germany, I wouldn't be able to go into sales over there selling Lord knows what. So it's really funny how this worked out. But I walked into a USO one day at the airport in Kaiserslautern in Ramstein, and I wanted to just find out more information about something. And I was about 3 weeks into being in Germany. And I walked into the USO, not really sure what the USO was. Again, for me, I knew Bob Hope, and that's about it. There was an association there. But walked up to this girl who was working at the counter, and she just gave me the friendliest smile. And, just I felt at peace. Like the entire time I was just not at ease while I was in Germany until this girl just smiled at me and was like, "Hey, can I help you? What are you looking for?" And it's funny, and it sounds cliche, but I felt like at home, like, okay, I can relax now. So started chatting with her, and then come to find out that there was a position available at the USO to start working with the volunteers there. And I interviewed and I got the job and started working, right a couple weeks later. So ever since then, I've been with the USO, and it just feels like I'm a part of the USO family. I'm sure you can relate as well, but it's been amazing. I've loved every second of it. So, and it's a different experience where we were in USO working in the field, and now that we're at headquarters helping military spouses around the world, it's just it's just a great opportunity for me to help the military spouses out there. So, and I also want to see where the spouses have been PCS'd from in our chat box too. So if you guys could type in where you've PCS'd to and where you've been stationed, that would be great.
And what's been your favorite, and maybe what's been your most challenging? We all have those stories too.
Yeah.
Yep. I saw there was somebody on from New York. I saw we have Nashville.
Oh, wow.
Go up and see where else we are. Nashville, New York, DC, Arlington, Fort Belvoir, Oklahoma. What's up?
Woo!
I love it. I love seeing where everyone says, "Ooh, somebody went to Bahrain, Hawaii, Vandenberg." Where's Vandenberg?
Vandenberg is in California. That's a good one. So I heard. I don't know, Brittany. I don't mean to call you out, but you got to tell us if you like it or not. I know it's near wineries, vineyards. Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, she loves it. I think we need to visit Vandenberg. Do you guys need USO programs out there?
Oh, I love it.
I love seeing the live chat.
Well, and for you then Liz too, what's been your favorite part of working for the USO? Because you've had so many hats with us.
Yeah, I think it's just the ability to bring people together, like what you say. I mean, people, when you work for the USO, you are ingrained in the community. You're not just there for one aspect, right? You're there for the active duty, and you're there for the families, and you're there for the kids, and you're even there to reach out to the ones who are back home, right? Because the USO is the link to everyone back home. So when you work for the USO, you really like cement yourself, and you put down roots as part of a community. Right. So if someone's new and they come into you and they sort of have, that deer in headlights look when you first get to Germany, and you're like, this is so hard. I don't know what I'm doing. Where do I go? You can go to the USO.
Right.
I've been able to be a part of that for so long. Just creating a sense of you're home and you're going to be okay, and we're going to take care of you because this is what we do. We're a nonprofit. We're a feel-good place, right? Like we have volunteers and we have programs and we have services and we have things that people can do to make them more comfortable in their new communities. And I think that, throughout the 14 years that I've been hanging around this organization, I think that's what stands out the most as sort of my favorite aspect, is just the sense of community that we instill in people, and that our staff and our volunteers kind of radiate to those who need help the most.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's all about the volunteers too. I mean, it's all about the volunteers. So I know a lot of spouses ask about employment with the USO. And if for some reason they're not able to get in with the USO because the timing's not right, or they can't find the position or something like that, I always encourage people to volunteer with the USO, get to know the staff, get to know the people there, and eventually hopefully something could work out.
Absolutely. I mean, we all know volunteering is good for your resume anyway, so why not volunteer for an organization that gives back the way that we do?
Yeah.
Has so many connections within the community. I mean, I think that's such a great point.
Yeah.
Volunteer with the USO to get your foot in the door. Absolutely.
Right. So do you have any favorite USO memories in the past couple of years that you've been with us?
The memory I feel like I tell most people about, because like you said, most people associate the USO with Bob Hope, right? Yeah. So when you first tell someone, I work for the USO, they say, oh, do you do entertainment? That's what people always ask. And so I do have kind of a favorite funny memory. was in 2006 when Jeopardy came to Okinawa.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do a whole lot with entertainment. You know, we have a very capable entertainment department, and I was just an operations person. But the way that the Jeopardy ensemble traveled, they had the clue crew, which are the people who do the video clues, Jimmy and Kelly, and they were the only two who came on that trip. And there's all these producers and cameramen and people. There was like 15 people in this group, and then there's Alex Trebek. And for some reason, bless his heart, Alex wanted to ride separately from everyone. Maybe it's traveling and doing so many stops on the same tour with all the people that you see day in and day out. He wanted someone to just, you know, take him separately. So I was chosen to drive Alex Trebek in my little beat up Toyota RAV4. But it happened to be the weekend that my husband got back from a deployment to Iraq. So I hadn't seen him in 8 months. And I really wanted to spend time with him, but we also had Alex Trebek, and it was
Alex Trebek, husband.
Yeah, Alex Trebek, my husband. So my husband was such a good sport. He came everywhere with us, and it turned out to be great because what I learned about Mr. Trebek is that he's so smart. I mean, obviously you couldn't tell by the show, like he's smart, and he's curious, and he likes to ask a lot of questions, and he loves to be challenged by things that he doesn't know much about. And at the time, he didn't know a whole lot about what was going on in Iraq. So I drove him around. My husband sat in the back seat, and he and Alex just talked and talked and talked the whole weekend. And they were like besties by the end of the weekend. We'd go to dinner together. We were just driving along behind the bus of everybody else. But I didn't get to interact with a whole lot of entertainers, but spending that weekend with Trebek and seeing him fall in love with my husband was pretty fun. And I hope he remembers us because we had so much fun with him.
I'm sure he does.
Around.
Yeah. No, I feel as though when we were in Germany, he must have been on that same tour because he came to the Landstuhl Regional Medical Hospital, the hospital in Germany. And I feel like it was around that time as well. And he went into the USO Center there, and I was working there that day. And there were 2 young service members playing a video game at the USO Center. I mean, typical. And he just walks in, and he's standing behind them, and they're playing their video game. They're not really, you know, paying attention who's behind them. And then all of a sudden he talks, you know, Alex Trebek talks. And you know that, I mean, everybody knows his voice. And they just kind of like pause and turn around slowly, and they're just kind of like looking at each other like, is that Alex Trebek, you know? And so he just stood there and talked to them for, you know, like 20 minutes, just about everything. And it was just, he's just the sweetest guy. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Do you have a favorite USO program? And you talked about the video games in the centers, and we've talked about entertainment. Do you have a favorite USO program in all your time with USO programs?
I mean, we'll talk about the Military Spouse Networking and Coffee Connections. I, of course, adore those programs. But the one that really pulls at my heartstrings is our special delivery baby showers with Heidi Murkoff. And Heidi Murkoff is the author of the What to Expect series. I feel as though, you know, all the moms out there, or expectant moms, and just, you know, parents out there know who she is, or know her books and stuff like that. But she goes around the world and to military bases, and we basically throw a baby shower for expectant mothers at USO locations. So it's pretty cool because if you are in Germany and you can't afford to fly back and have a baby shower with your family, then we're able to do that for you. So same thing with PAC. I know PAC the Pacific area has had some baby showers, and she's been to Hawaii, and she's doing a tour. She was just doing a tour here in the States. But just to see all the babies, I mean, who doesn't love babies, you know, to see all the babies and just all the questions that the moms have for Heidi. I think that's one of the coolest programs that I've enjoyed personally, but then to also just see the joy for all the military moms out there. So how about you?
That's such a special program. I've been able to see it just one time in person, but it gives me goosebumps. I think you're right, just to talk about it and how much love there is in the rooms, because when you're expecting, you want to be surrounded by love, and you want to be surrounded by your family, and you're not always able to. So we put you in a room with a bunch of other expecting moms, and then an expert who literally wrote the book on what to expect. And I think it's amazing how she puts their minds at ease, and she makes them feel like she's known them all forever.
Yes, you'll get a hug.
She really loves being there with everyone, and I think it's such a special program. I wish we could get it everywhere. So hats off to the special delivery team.
Yes.
What they do is incredible. Let's segue into the military spouse programs. It's already 10:25, and I don't want to take up everyone's time talking about other stuff when they came from spouse programs. So, Nicole, take us back. Tell us how military spouse programs got started.
Okay. So let's go back to we moved from Germany to DC, and I started working at USO headquarters, and saw that during my time in Germany, there was really a need for more programming for military spouses. So coming to headquarters, I pitched the idea that we create some sort of program for military spouses to simply come together, network with each other, and create a network not only for employment, for community, but also for friendship. So that became the creation of military spouse networking. And it's basically speed dating, but for military spouses. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have been in a situation where I am looking for a friend, or, or I meet somebody and I'm like, is it weird for me to, and we instantly have a connection. Let's say we're at a restaurant, we start talking to a family, and they have a kid, I have a kid, and I'm like, you know what, we should be friends. We both have kids. Like, hey, and I've given my business card, and I'm like, this might be weird, but like, text me sometime or call me, like, let's hang out, let's be friends, because you don't have time to really, I don't know, spend a lot of time trying to make friends, because you're only in the area for a short amount of time. So it's like, you want friends quickly. So the military spouse networking, I absolutely love, because you have a short amount of, you bring all of the military spouses into a room, and you speed network with each other, and you walk away meeting so many new people, so many new friends. If you're there for employment, you might meet an employer or somebody that you could create that relationship with. You're getting plugged into your community. So I'm really passionate about our military spouse networking events. But to segue into what we're doing now, military spouses were saying, hey, we love these military spouse networking events, but we want more. We want not only, these networking events, but we want like a monthly connection. So we created coffee connections, where each month military spouses can come to a USO center or a common location and simply just have a cup of coffee. We give all the spouses a USO mug, and you get to take it home, and you just have friendly conversation. There's really no agenda. We just want you to be able to come to a safe place, make friends, and walk away with new friends and making new connections, or connecting with old friends that you possibly were at a different location at, and you just, found out that you both are at the same location again. But that's kind of, to summarize it in a nutshell with a really long-winded answer, how coffee connections and military spouse networking were created.
I love it. I think they're fantastic. I can't believe we haven't had them for 75 years.
Yeah.
It almost seems like a no-brainer, and yet it took your incredible brain to come up with like, oh yeah, we need to come up with something like this. I think it's amazing. We should tell everyone we do coffee connections once a month in about 20 different locations right now. If the local USO where you are doesn't have it, talk to the USO folks and let them know that you want coffee connections, and they'll reach out to one of the two of us, and we'll get it started. It's a fantastic program. And same thing with MilSpouse networking. I saw somebody on the side had posted a question about how can the USO help military spouses get jobs other than working for the USO.
Right.
Keep an eye out for military spouse networking events in your area. That was written by Dana. Dana, where are you located? Can you type in the chat box where you are? Those military spouse networking events are amazing, because not only do you get the speed dating aspect with other military spouses, you get it with potential employers. And, it's all about who you know, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. So the more people you get out there and meet, whether it's through speed networking or coffee connections. Oh no, we have no USO nearby. That's what Brittany said. Okay, well, we can talk
That's
about that.
what Coffee Connection Live is for, Brittany. That's why we decided to also do this Coffee Connection Live for those locations that don't have a USO center nearby. So that's where we're saying, hey, in the chat box, you guys can have private messages with each other, just to make your network here with us, or send us a note and we'll we'll talk to you as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say both of our email addresses are super easy. It's our first initial last name at uso.org. So I'm Lee at uso.org. She's nvogel at uso.org. If you have any questions after this, if you want to chat offline, we are open. We're here for you. We love the questions and we'd love to get out there and help.
Awesome. Yes.
Brittany says she's a recruiter if anyone needs resume help. So hit her up in the chat box. Brittany,
I love it.
There, and she's a recruiter.
Thank you, Brittany, for putting yourself out there and offering to help. And networking, it's all about what can I do for you, not what it's in for me, but what's in it for you. How can I help you? So
absolutely. Should we talk about some of the other programs for military spouses that we're rolling out actually starting this week?
Yes.
I have one that's called Discovering Your Spark with Brittany Bacher. I'm going to let Nicole take the helm on describing this because she does such an eloquent job with it. But
thank you.
Program. So Nicole, tell us about Discovering Your Spark.
So Discovering Our Spark is with one of our wonderful friends, Brittany Bacher. She is well known by many military spouses, and she was on a Coffee Connection Live a couple months ago where we talked about our workshop. But Brittany was the 2017 Armed Forces Insurance Military Spouse of the Year, the overall winner. And she created this wonderful workbook called Finding Your Color in a Camouflaged World. And that is with her workshop she created called Discovering Your Spark. So it's really about finding your passion, finding your purpose, becoming empowered, and turning your can'ts into cans. So we piloted a couple locations this year, had a phenomenal turnout, and just the spouses absolutely loved it. Excellent feedback. So we decided to go ahead and roll it out to more locations the rest of this year and into 2020. So make sure to check uso.org/military spouse, and the dates for her upcoming tour will be posted there, and you can sign up and register. As for also Coffee Connections and Military Spouse Networking, those dates and locations will also be on that website. And our producer, who we should give a shout out to, Danielle, who's been chatting with you all in the chat box, she'll make sure to give you the link as well. And thank you, Danielle, for all of your help with this.
Yes, Danielle is behind the scenes, but she is not forgotten. She's back there keeping it all together in the chat box for us. We have somebody who just said she was at one of the pilots for Discovering Your Spark. Maddie was there. Maddie, you also said you were in Guam. I know you didn't see that in Guam, did you? I don't think we've been there for it yet. But we're super glad that you were at it, and we love that you're singing its praises. We think it's so important to bring Brittany in this workshop to as many people as we possibly can. Hafaday! So Maddie, fun fact, this is not even in our...
It's okay. We're just all having coffee together, so it's fine.
I saw Maddie wrote that she was in Guam and went to the USO in Tumon Bay and Anderson, and I actually helped to get those opened up. Actually, I wasn't there for Anderson. I take no credit on that, and I can only take a little tiny bit for the one at Tumon Bay, but before that was ever even there, I was with the USO Pacific team, and we flew to Guam, and we found this spot in the Royal Orchid that somebody had for us. And that beautiful USO center, I kid you not, used to have lime green walls and like a basketball court for a floor. And Lee Graham, who's the director of USO Guam, shout out to Lee, she put together this unbelievable team, and they turned that into the most beautiful hideaway, the most beautiful oasis in the middle of Guam. And the Guam team is just fantastic. So I know exactly what you mean when you say Hafaday or Hafaday. The Guam team is amazing, and I'm so glad that you were able to take advantage of those USO centers. They do such an incredible job on that tiny little island in the Pacific. So glad to hear that you liked them.
Yay. Oh, good. And a shout out to Maddie. Hey, Maddie. She was at our Salute to Military Spouses in November. That's where Maddie and I met. So
awesome. I love it. I love that we're all connected. See?
I know, right?
The USO brings people together.
Yes. So we talked about Discovering Your Spark. I want to hear more about what you've been working on, because I know that there's a little program that not so little actually, it's kind of a big deal, and it's a fun thing that just kind of sparked our interest and then turned into something. So Tell us more
I
about.
think that's an excellent segue, Nicole.
Yeah.
Introduction. I think it's no coincidence that we're both military spouses. And so in creating and developing all this military spouse programming, it really does hit home with us. So we're super excited that this week we're beginning a pilot series with Lowe's, the home improvement store. They have just recently become a corporate sponsor with the USO. And their team reached out to our little team and said, is there anything that Lowe's can do for the military spouses? And Nicole and I, we hopped on a call and we were kind of joking about it. We might have even been drinking out of our USO mugs. And I said something like, well, my husband's about to deploy. I need to know how to start the lawnmower. And it would be great if I knew how to start a chainsaw or turn on our gas grill. Like there's all this stuff around the house that he takes care of. And when he's gone, I realized I'm not going to be able to do. So through our giggle session and talking over the phone, we thought, well, why don't we ask Lowe's if they'll put together a series of workshops to connect with military spouses and teach us how to do home improvement projects. Now, none of us are going to claim to be the Property Brothers, but I think what we've developed is really incredible. So starting this week on the 22nd, we're going to do a Lowe's workshop in the Fort Benning area. And then a week from now on the 27th of August, we're going to be out in Camp Pendleton and we're going to be at the USO on Camp Pendleton. So if anybody's watching from either Columbus, Georgia area or Camp Pendleton, California area, if you want to sign up for the Lowe's workshops, hit up our website. There's a link for where you can register. This first round of workshops, it's kind of a testing series. It's a pilot workshop. They're going to bring a representative from a local Lowe's store called a workshop captain, who will most likely be a military veteran. We're going to bring them into the USO Center at Camp Pendleton, and we're going to be at the Lowe's store in Fort Benning, and they're going to learn how to patch drywall. Because those of us who have kids know that every time we move, we are patching holes in drywall from where a toy has gone through the wall or a foot, or maybe you've put up a few too many pictures and you've hung all those little tiny things. You pull them out and your landlord has said, you got to patch all the holes before you leave. I don't know how to do it, but I can't tell you how many times my husband has had to do it when we've left houses. So at this first series of workshops, we're going to learn how to patch drywall. And they're also going to give an overview on a bunch of other, maybe a dozen other home improvement projects. Now, again, none of us are going to leave here with an HGTV style house, but I'm super hopeful that through this workshop, we can all gain some skills and some confidence to do things around the house that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Yeah. So we're very excited for that. This month, like I said, we're in Georgia and we're in California. The schedule of all the other ones, I have it right over here. Let me grab it off camera. In September, we're going to be at Fort Bliss and San Antonio. In October, we're going to be in Houston and Fort Sill. November, we're going to be in Seattle area and the Nashville area. Actually, when I say Seattle, what I mean is Lakewood and the Nashville area. And then in December, we're going to be in Nashville again and the Tacoma area. So again, if you're interested in those, go to uso.org/military spouse programs. Is that right?
Military spouse /
military. Thank you. Sorry, I don't even know.
Oh, it's okay.
uso.org/military spouse. And you can find a list of upcoming programs. You can register for them and always email one of us if you have any questions. But those are some very fun programs that we're really excited about.
Well, I think that's brilliant just because, and we know the statistics, you move about 8 to 10 times if you're in for the 20-year career. More, it could even be more than that. But, if you do buy a house, you're probably you will have something, go wrong probably when your spouse is away on TDY or deployment, that leaky toilet. But you talk about the patching up the wall. We took out a medicine cabinet out of our wall, and it just left this huge hole. And so it's one of those things where my husband did patch it up, but it's not that good. So I think this workshop would be great because then go back and just really learn how to, and I don't know if that's the kind of hole that they'll be fixing, but just to learn the tips and tricks of, the home improvement would be really helpful.
Absolutely. I've heard a rumor. I cannot confirm it. They might let us punch the holes first.
Oh.
Just as an extra therapeutic session, relieve some stress if a military spouse needs to come in and punch the drywall first.
Yes.
Can't confirm that. It's merely a rumor. But we're hoping that these workshops will evolve and we'll have lots more projects. We've talked about gardening as a project because I would love to have a garden. I seem to kill anything that I plant.
Same.
I know you can't grow herbs in the Florida sun like basil and cilantro. I killed those right away. So we've talked about gardening. We've talked about learning how to fix a leaky toilet. We've talked about learning how to mess with the fuse box. Like, you know, when a fuse trips, you just sit back. But what do you do if you've actually blown a fuse? Like, is that something I can fix? Do I just call an electrician right away? There's such a varying level of what can I fix versus what should I not even bother to fix. I wish my eyes were more open to that. So stay tuned for more with that. We're super excited about that workshop coming down the pipeline, and hopefully we'll get to bring it to more locations in 2020.
Yeah, and group in the chat box too. Has there ever been anything that you wish you were able to fix? Because give us the ideas here in the chat room, and we can always take that to our friends at Lowe's and see what we can do in the future. So
absolutely. And while you're thinking of that, any horror stories from moving? I always love to, like, we've all done the PCS. Does anybody have horror stories? Like something you couldn't fix, something that got seriously broken? We love those. And I guess we can also open it up for questions at this point.
Yeah. We can open it up to questions. And I did before, there were two other quick programs I did want to mention. One was a new program that will be rolling out in a couple of weeks, actually a couple of days, called MilSpouse Squad. We're really excited about it. And it's really just a virtual program where we're here to help you connect with other spouses and other people who are here to cheer you on. So stay tuned for that. It's called MilSpouse Squad, and it's all about just expanding your network, and it's a virtual platform. So talk more about that in a little bit. And then USO Pathfinder. A lot of spouses might have heard about this before, but it's really just a program for military spouses and transitioning service members, but we'll focus on the spouse. The spouse, as military spouses, we're transitioning every time we PCS. We're going to a new location. We're always in transition. So there's 19 locations that have Pathfinder sites. And if you are at a location that has a Pathfinder site, and Danielle will put the link up where you can see you're at a location that has one of these, they'll basically set up an account with you where they can work with you on different pillars. It's a holistic approach to work on an action plan for employment, for education, for financial readiness, for benefits, housing. There's so many: legal, family strength and wellness, and volunteerism. So even if there isn't a Pathfinder in your location, you can still create an action plan with a scout over the phone. So take a look and see if that's something that you're interested in, and the link's right there. Thanks, Danielle. But those were two other programs that I definitely wanted to touch on.
Awesome. If you guys have any questions about Pathfinder or Spouse Squad or anything else that we've talked about, go ahead and type it in the question box or in the chat box. We can open up the question box and see if there's nothing that I can see in there as of right now, but go ahead and ask us questions. Also, we've got a little bit of a teaser as far as Coffee Connections Live next month. Maybe we should have mentioned this at the beginning to drum up a little bit of mystery and intrigue.
No.
We try to interview someone who's related to the MilSpouse world every month. We've had General Dunford's wife. We had several military spouses of the year talk about all the different initiatives that they've been working on. And we have an extra special guest joining us next month. Nicole, who is it?
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't take it. So on September 13th, we will be talking with Carla Hall. So some of you might know her from Top Chef. Some of you might know her from The Chew or from other just fun projects that she's been on. But she will be doing an event down in Texas and wants to join us for our next Coffee Connection Live. So we want to make sure that you pencil that in or put it into your phone calendar or write it on your chalkboard, or where I say chalkboard, you know how Pinterest people are with the fun chalk. But make sure you save the date for September 13th.
Do we know what time that's going to be yet? Or
we don't know. I'm thinking it'll actually be more towards the afternoon, evening. So yeah, you might have to do a decaf coffee, or if you can handle coffee at a later time, then do it, bring it.
And if you've got any pressing questions that you've always wanted to ask Carla Hall, celebrity chef that she is, oh my gosh, prepare them. I would have all the baking questions,
Yeah.
all the cooking questions.
Yes.
Yeah. How do I make more than 5 things that my kids will eat? I feel like we eat the same thing every week. That'll be my question.
I know I feel like we could ask her, yeah, anything and everything. So really excited about, yay, Maura's excited about Carla Hall too. Maura, I hope we see you on the call.
Better be there. I'm
I
gonna scroll up here.
Questions in there. I'm going to see, let's see here. I did want to talk about our previous Coffee Connection lives that we've done in the past. So in February, we talked about the USO's research with our friend and colleague, Dustin Thomas, on the research is called The Backbone of Our Military. So since then, since that Coffee Connection Live, it's been a lot of fun working with our team at headquarters, but we're also working with our USO centers in the field to brainstorm and figure out what kind of programs we should be offering to you, the military spouse out there. So not only center focused programs, but then the programs that we can offer virtually to military spouses that aren't next to a USO. So it's been a lot of fun working with this team and using the research that we found back in November for the Salute to Military Spouses to see what we can do for you. And a lot of that was military spouses with that research felt as though they had lost their identity becoming a military spouse. And we thought that was a big deal, you know, for you to feel that way. And a lot of military spouses felt that just this lifestyle is hard for them to find, you know, their passion and purpose. So that's why we thought it's really important for Brittany Bacher to be on tour with us. So really excited with her program that we're offering. And then we talked with Brian Alvarado about hiring our heroes and his initiative, and they're doing great things. And let's see here, who else? While I was on maternity leave, you talked with Kelly and Evie Kelly's over at Millie and Evie's over at Independent. So just a lot of great organizations out there supporting military spouses. And again, we also want to hear from you guys to know what military spouse organizations are out there that we might not have heard of that we should keep on our radar as well.
Yeah, and we get lots of questions from military spouses that maybe we can't always answer.
Right.
So we'd love to have resources that we can refer them to as well. If someone comes to us with a question and we just have no idea, give us your resources. Tell us, you know, do you have a book that you love? Do you have a website that you love? Do you have a startup organization? Are you working for an organization that's not really on the map yet that you think we should work with? We love partnering with other organizations that have a similar goal and a similar focus that we do. So let us know who's out there. No silos here. We can't do this alone. Military spouses can't do it alone. So we're certainly here to support all of you and help you reach as many resources as possible.
Yeah.
There was a question about the military squad. What is the military spouse squad? And thanks to Shanna, we have an answer. I'm just going to go ahead and read it out loud for those who aren't looking at the chat box. The Mil Spouse Squad is the first of its kind digital platform for military spouses to connect with one another, finding tailored advice, connecting over shared experiences, and putting people in their corner, from veteran and retired spouses to business and industry leaders, the subject matter experts and partners in the military spouse community. Shanna says we're launching the pilot on September 4th, so keep an eye on the USO Facebook page. And
awesome.
To have even more information on all the military spouse initiatives on the USO Facebook page. So please stay tuned to that. And I'm sure there's more exciting things that we're going to be announcing on there soon.
Yeah, September is going to be a busy month. So a lot of good stuff happening in the Mil Spouse world.
Absolutely. Are there any other questions from people who are viewing? Anything we haven't touched on? Are there any USO programs that we're not doing right now? Is there anything that you feel we could be addressing to help you where you are? I know we have someone watching where there isn't a USO. How can we reach out to you? Maybe we can get Brittany Bacher out to Vandenberg. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe we can bring something to you. We don't have to be where there are USO brick and mortar centers. So please share your ideas with us. Let us know what military spouses want in your community. so that we can address the need. We're really here for you, and this is what we love doing. This is our passion.
I think Maura wants more information, I can't tell, on the Military Spouse Squad, and we can definitely make that happen. Let's see here. And I also wanted to throw some information out to everybody about the Spouse Ambassador Network. This is a group that I thought would have been very helpful to learn about and to know about as a new military spouse, but also now as a military spouse, being in for over 10 years. The Spouse Ambassador Network, it's a group of organizations that meet once a quarter, I would say, in Washington, D.C., to talk about military spouse employment, but to also just talk about like all things military spouse and what we can do as organizations to better military spouse life. So check that out. Danielle will also put that link in. It's tied in with the Military Spouse Employment Partnership. So you take a look at the list of organizations that are a part of it. And what I like to say at a lot of our networking events is, you know, the USO, we can only help you with so much. We can help you with a lot, but if for some reason there's something that we can't help you with what you're looking for, whether it be, you know, building your network, your community, just getting involved with your family, our family programming or something like that. Take a look at these lists or the list of the Spouse Ambassador Network, because I'm sure there's somebody in that organization list of organizations that will be able to help you out, hopefully.
I totally agree. There's lots of amazing organizations
Yes.
out there that just want to help military spouses. It's not just the USO. Again, we can't do this alone. There's so many organizations. So check that list out. Excuse me.
Yep. And thanks, Danielle, for posting it.
Yay, there it is in the chat box. Thanks, Danielle.
Great.
Right.
Well, I don't see any other questions, so we'll make sure we give you your time back, but really appreciate everybody joining us today on this call, in this webinar, and make sure to take this survey at the end. A survey should either pop up or be emailed to you after this, and we have a raffle for an American Express gift card to one of the individuals that takes the survey. We'll do a random drawing and send you the gift card.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate you watching. There'll be a link to share this on YouTube, hopefully before the end of the day, so you can watch the recording if you want more Coffee Connections live with the two of us.
Share it with your friends, your family.
That's right. Tell everyone to come, and tell them all to be here next month when we talk to celebrity chef Carla Hall. That's going to be super awesome. Thanks to Danielle, who's managing the chat box. Thanks to everyone who was on here. We appreciate you, and we'll see you all next month.
Yep. Bye, everybody.